Nintendo president Satoru Iwata died last weekend. Um,
Very
that
sad.
sucks. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it came as it's not like we didn't. We were starting to wonder, is everything okay? Because I think last year he missed E3 because he was undergoing surgery or recovering from surgery for a growth on his bile ducts. So he
Mhm.
missed E3 last year, and then earlier this year he missed one of the uh, um, conferences, not conference, the conference call with the people who hold stock in the company, shareholder thing. He missed out on one of those. And then he
Mhm.
missed E3 again this year, but they said, oh, no, 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 it's because of the conference calls and stuff like that. He's just way too busy with work. And a lot of us were thinking, is he okay? Because, you know,
Yeah.
and then
It's
it
not
just
like him.
boom.
Yeah.
He on I think July 11th, Nintendo announced that he died from a complication with the growth on his bile duct. And it's interesting because last year they said that this is something that's hard to treat, but it's because it's something that you don't catch usually. But we caught it
Mhm.
early, and things are good. Um, so I don't know if they were just putting on a happy face,
Well, maybe the surgery he had last
or it
year
took a
extended
turn
his
from the
life a
worse.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's really true. I mean, it's sad when anyone dies, but Iwata was one of the most personable. Uh, Big corporation CEOs. I mean, even people like us who can name Phil Spencer and other people who run Xbox and Sony. Um, Iwata was the face of the company. He
Mhm.
was on all the Nintendo Directs. He did the Direct to You. The guy
Yeah.
was just adorable, uh,
Yeah.
and he had an amazing sense of humor. He'd hold the bananas and look at the bananas and then look at you. He had a Muppet made of himself. A wonderful sense of humor in that man, and
Yeah. Well,
he's also
they did the when they introduced the me as a character in Smash Brothers. You know, they had him and Reggie fighting it out. Yeah.
that was amazing.
Yes, it
That was
was.
last year. That fight between him and Reggie, that was great.
Yeah.
Um, he also is an incredibly competent guy. He started as a lot of folks who run game companies, whether this is true or not, you get the sense that they are just business people. I'm
Hmm.
here because I love gamers and I love video games, and a lot of them you don't really believe. Iwata, you
Yeah.
totally believe. This is a guy who
Oh
started as a
yeah.
gamer. He started as a programmer. I've heard stories that and a lot of this comes from the amazing Iwata Asks series that they've been doing for years,
Hmm.
which was a series of developer interviews that they would put up on Nintendo's site, where usually once a game launched, Iwata would sit down with the developers of the game and do a really in-depth interview with these guys and show off early prototypes and why they did
Hmm.
things the way they did, and it was just fascinating, and Nintendo's really the only company that did that. And
Yeah.
especially odd because Nintendo has historically been so damn secretive. Now granted, all these Iwata asks were typically after the game they're discussing released, but still it
Yeah.
was wonderful to see this cardboard mock-up of the Wii U gamepad. They said, "Well, we got a bunch of pieces of cardboard and glued it together so we could physically hold it and drive it around and see what happens." And
Yeah.
one of the interesting things is in the translation of the Iwata Ask columns, almost every single paragraph or passage rather ends with parentheses. Everybody laughs. You get the feeling that now whether it was because they were nervous because they're in front of their boss, but you get the feeling that Iwata was really just that nice and friendly and
Yeah.
personal kind of guy. I've also heard that he did a code review for one of the Smash Brothers games. I think the GameCube one, which launched with the GameCube. It was falling behind, so he took a couple of weeks and actually did a full code review.
Wow.
Um, and
Yeah. I
this would have
hate
been the
doing
year
code
before he was the president.
reviews.
But
Yeah. But yeah, he's a he's just an amazing guy, and I think Nintendo is going to sorely miss him as their CEO. But I look at I look at Iwata here, and compare him to Reggie. Reggie's a business guy,
Hmm.
and you can tell that in his manner and stuff. Yes, he likes Nintendo, he loves Nintendo, he loves the company, and
But
he's
he
going to be with
sucks at Smash
Nintendo for a
Brothers.
while. But yeah, he's just a very business guy, and to be honest, I'm sorry, Reggie. I love you, but I think you're what's wrong with Nintendo of America. With all the crap that Nintendo of America does to American Nintendo fans, like not giving us a new 3DS that's not an XL, and not giving us the faceplates, and taking a year and a half to release the Project Rainfall, or
Yeah, yeah. The
yeah,
the
yeah,
Xenoblade
those games.
Chronicles, Last Story, and Pandora's Tower.
Yeah, it's like taking forever to do that. And it's like, he did a Reggie did a it was supposed to be a Twitter thing where he was going to be on Twitter all day, and it was
Yeah.
like 8 tweets, and two of them were the exact same content, just worded differently. And it's like, okay, I just, I wish more companies were led by people like Iwata, and I think more companies would be better for it. Like you said, Microsoft and Sony don't have that either. They're both run by business people. I know that Microsoft tends to put game developers and people who've moved up the ladder into positions of authority over their Xbox division, but it's still led by overall it's still led by a business person, and
Hmm.
not a gamer slash developer. So
I think we'll close with something that I think shows both what kind of person and what kind of businessman Iwata was. And a year or two ago, Nintendo's been struggling. Let me rephrase that. Nintendo financially has not been performing as well as everyone would like over the past few years.
mhm.
Now, Nintendo has enough money to have crappy console releases for the next 70 years or something like that. They're sitting on the Scrooge McDuck sized tower of cash. They're fine. They're not going anywhere. However, the Wii U and the 3DS they've been coming in the red for 3 years. And a couple of years ago, what happens with most companies, especially American companies, what happens when something underperforms or doesn't meet expectations? There's a huge round of layoffs, studios close. That happen. We write that crap at Game Politics all the time, and I hate those stories. I hate writing,
Yeah,
which is why James does all of them, because I hate writing stories where people lose their jobs, and it
yeah,
happens so damn often. It happens after almost every major game release. Now, when Nintendo needed to saying, okay, the Wii U is not bringing in the money we need to show profits for our shareholders every year. We are going to need to do something. So what did Nintendo do? Well, Iwata took a pay cut and he didn't fire anybody. And he said, I think he halved his pay, and a couple other execs too. And he said, I don't have a quote, but he said something along the lines of, I don't think people are going to be happy or productive if they're worrying about keeping their jobs. I,
yeah,
if we breed this culture where every time we underperform, people lose their jobs, uh, creativity is going to suffer. People are going to play
hmm
it safe and be ultra concerned about, well, I can't take any risks. I can't color outside the box because if this underperforms, I'll lose my job. And that is almost unheard of in business today. I
yeah.
can't, I don't know. Now, I'm not a huge business fanboy, but I've heard of no one else say anything like that, or any other CEO saying, "Oh, we're not meeting expectations. Well, I'm not firing anyone or closing studios. I'll take a pay cut."
Yeah.
Whoa, really? So yeah, Iwata was great, and those are going to be some hefty shoes to fill. Whoever
Yes,
whoever takes over.
definitely.